The Wind Temple is my favorite temple in the Tears of the Kingdom. There, that's what this is about. You could have gone there from the title too. But here you all go. You don't have to wait for me to cook the lobster. I'm just going to give it to you right off the bat. But I can dive into this more if you want to, as I have for many dungeons in the Zelda series. These are all fun levels to talk about. I already went to the Black Sheep of the Tears of the Kingdom dungeons too, as the Water Temple was aesthetically pleasing, but there just really wasn't much substance there, especially in terms of the puzzles to solve. Relatively speaking, the Fire Temple was the best improvement. It was the grand example of how the temples are just better than divine beasts in the previous Breath of the Wild. And one day I'll get to the Lightning Temple too. It would be shocking if I don't. For those of you who are new here, I use that sound effect just about as much as YouTube recommends a crappy video for you. It's a lot. But yes, today is about the Wind Temple. And as I mentioned at the top, it is the best temple in Tears of the Kingdom. I am hoping we have more dungeons in future Zelda games, and they go back to feeling like the dungeons from the original games. But we still got some very good ones in Tears of the Kingdom, and the Wind Temple was the best. But why is that? Well, that's why you're here. Hope you're ready for the long-winded answer. Almost all the temples need two things critiqued: its design and its puzzles. And it's the best when those things are intertwined. But for the Wind Temple, the build-up comes before it. Sure, I'll say the segment leading up to the Wind Temple isn't exactly the Wind Temple, and it's not a perfect portion of the game either, but it sets up the theme for this temple, and that is worth talking about here. So we start at the base of Hebra's tallest peak. Or one of them. And it's just kind of where all the Ritos are set up camp and all that stuff. And I guess it technically starts more kind of like the base of the mountains right outside the Rito village, because it got a little hut there that's where you're seeing the footage right here. So yeah, basically just kind of starts right outside the village. Link, and here he is with his winged buddy Tulin, which I do miss Falco or like the knockoff Revali, but I guess Tulin works. You essentially have to climb into the storm, causing havoc in this region. And the path is pretty unique. It requires Tulin using his wind ability to push Link along as he ascends into the sky. And to get extra height, you bounce off these floating ships, which kind of works well. You'll more or less just repeat this until you get to the ship. It's neat, it could be smoother, but the main reason to mention it is the build up to the temple itself. You just know there's some source of evil in this cloud, or it actually used to be a cloud. And what is that mystery? Each step you take gets you closer to that answer. Anticipation is building up with each step you ascend. And you get a little spoilers on this path as you eventually get to the grand prize. It's this freezing ship among the cloud, just flying over the village. And these little ships you jump off of, it's just kind of like a preview to the real deal coming up. I do believe this segment before the temple just builds it up so well, and that's what really gets me excited for it. And that's why it's worth mentioning, even if it isn't in the Wind Temple. And with you reaching the top, the design is revealed to be the massive frozen floating ship. And as designs and layouts go, I think this is an excellent choice for a dungeon. Zelda dungeons have had success with sand ships before, which I would say the sand ship is a prime example of that, so for them to go back to it is an excellent choice. The ship feels ancient. It feels like it can freeze over any area it targets. The cold, eerie presence means that there is an ancient evil residing in this ship, and Link and his buddy Tulin just fly all around it to conquer that evil. Yeah, with the ship in the air and just as massive it is, it utilizes Link's Ascend ability and Tulin's Wind Gust. Climbing to the other floors and floating down the ship to swoop in and breach it just feels awesome and an amazing way to explore the temple. Breath of the Wild did this alright, having the first dungeon be a bird, and it does use Link's paraglider a lot, but this dungeon's another level. Having it be the mystery of the storm over the Rito village, and just being a perfect place to use Link's new mobility techniques, makes it for an excellent design for the area, for exploration, and for motivation to conquer it. And of course, you gotta talk about the puzzles, which those two are excellent as the ship's design uses them so well. The latest two Zelda games are all about finding key points through the dungeon, which is alright. I just kinda wish it wasn't that standardized, but it's alright. The Wind Temple is no different, as you must activate the turbines to open up the ship's deck and reveal the source of the evil. Getting to these points is honestly pretty fun. The design of the ship is used quite well in where each of these points are hidden. Okay, maybe not the first one, but you always gotta make the first one a bit easy so you understand the concept of what's going on. The ship is freezing cold at this altitude, so having the first puzzle use an icicle helps drive down that point. And for like this one, you have to fly all the way down to the base of the ship to find the one motor. I like this one room too, just dropping through a room with laser grids to get to the bottom. Again, I feel something more like I'd be out of Metal Gear or something, like Snake should be doing this versus Link. And by the way, have any of you done laser mazes too? They are pretty fun, and it kind of feels like that. Except this one also requires skydiving with like your basic cloth as your only parachute, so it's just a little bit riskier. But those laser mazes are pretty fun. Many of the puzzles are also found inside the ship, which is useful for the ice themes, using Tulin's winds and Link's new ability. Just getting to the underbelly of the ship is great too, as there's really no stairway down. You have to essentially breach the ship from its sides. This overall is just another great example of how the designers made the game for a player to approach each puzzle in numerous ways. It's like a choose your own adventure per se. the Wind Temple ship really delivers when it comes to utilizing its atmosphere to create puzzles that deliver a terrific experience. I also gotta talk about the boss, or just briefly. I made a video about how Colkera is the best boss in Tears of the Kingdom, like rambling about it for 5 minutes. In fact, I'm actually feeling pretty lazy, and I'm just gonna use all the footage from that other video for this segment right here. Don't blame me for being lazy. Hey, you're lazy too. You haven't clicked off this video to do something more productive. Like, isn't there some vacuum you should do or something? So I'll keep it brief here and say that it's the best boss to the nostalgic throwback to Morgera, the boss of the original Wind Temple. Man, I just love how they actually had that nostalgia part to it. It also works perfectly too, as it's an oversized icy bug flying around the ship, which really represents the evil dwelling inside of this temple. The fight is exciting too, as you use all the elements from this temple. It is a floating, freezing ship in the air, so naturally the boss has all these ice-based attacks will fly around the ship, and requires Link himself to fly around with said boss in attacking it. And of course you can use Tulin's ability to push yourself throughout the air to be able to evade the boss's attack, while then using your ability to slam right into it to destroy the guy. It just makes for an awesome fight what is already an awesome dungeon. I really don't got much more to add to this. This dungeon is just very good. It has a great build-up, a great design, and a fun challenge. It's just got a lot to it. It's the best dungeon for the 2 Switch Zelda games, that's for sure. It was a blast to play, and I hope we get more dungeons like this in the future. Just very well done, Nintendo and the team, on this terrific dungeon.